All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the this edition of Coach's Corner. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I think I turned everyone else on.
Yeah, we can hear you.
There we go. Just unmuting a few others. If you guys can go ahead and turn your cameras back on, that would be great. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. We have a new series tonight, kind of new night interviews. And it was a great idea. I thought that Duchess Antigone came up with a while ago. And I was like, hey, how about you run with that? Seeing that you're actually more in touch with the new knights than I am. So and she put a great group together, I think, for this interview. And I'm really, really looking forward to listening in and trying to help in the background. I will tell you, I don't have a lot of producer experience. I'm usually facing the channel, so I'm going to do my best. And you'll have to put up with me a little bit. But for now, I'm going to disappear and hand it over to you, Your Grace. Let me
Awesome. Well,
get
thank
that
you.
set.
Thank
There you
you
go.
so much, Duke Branos. We really appreciate you stepping in and helping out produce the show so I don't have to wear 3 hats tonight, only 2. So as Branos was alluding, this is a new series that Coach's Corner is going to be doing. And that is the new to SCA knighthood. And so what we're doing is doing some interviews with different individuals throughout the SCA who have been announced for knighthood or have been knighted within the past year. And the idea is that we want to really take a look at their journey to knighthood and kind of how is the first year of knighthood gone or the time since they were announced gone. So that we can kind of get an idea of what's the current sort of, what's everybody's currently going through. I know for me, it's really interesting as I am also on my own journey. So I love to talk about this with new knights and then all the other unbelts in the out there during my travels. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Branos is kind enough that he's going to kind of help direct those questions to us. We do have a set interview questions, which everybody has been here, that is here, has read over. And so we're going to try and stay on track. We probably won't hit all of our questions, but we're going to try and get to some of the major ones. The first one is introduction. So we'll start with double Thegn Lycas.
So Lycas, out of the Outlands right now, been playing for, I guess, 3-4 years, something like that. I don't know. Pinsic 49 was my first event, whatever the math is on that. And right now, currently living in southern tip of Colorado. Forget what else I need to cover.
That's, yeah. So any weapon forms you're known for?
Oh,
yeah. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, so mostly known sword and motto during tourneys, battles. A lot of 9-foot spear is really what bread and butter right now.
Awesome. And then the other guest we have on the show tonight is Sir Jane the Reborn.
Hello, everyone. I am Sir Jane the Reborn. I started playing in the SCA circa 1987, 88, about 2-3 years old. So I can't quite say I was born into it, but I can't remember anything else. I got my fighter's card when I was 15 and a half, back when they would allow such things in the late 90s. I did 6 months of building armor and fighting only at practices, and on my 16th birthday, they gave me a fighter card. I was offered 3 weeks after my 40th birthday. So my journey was a bit of a long one. As far as my styles and area, I'm out of the West Kingdom. I fight with everything. I'll fight with sword and board. I'll fight with a dagger. I'll fight with bastard weapon. I'll fight with poleaxe. I'll fight with a 9-foot spear. As long as I'm out there fighting, I'm having fun.
And then our final guest on the show tonight is Sir Shin.
Hello. Takeda Shinjiro Usagi is the full, but Shin is short for easier pronunciations. I'm from the Madison, Wisconsin area, Kingdom of North Shield, Barony of Yar Vetler. I've lived and knighted in North Shield all at once. I'm known for 5-foot bastard sword style, and I was knighted 124 days ago.
So thank you all again so much for joining in on the very first show and being willing to be the guinea pig of the series. I really appreciate it. So kind of to get started, we'll start kind of in the same order. Why did you start Lycas?
Antigone, I think we're losing your
Yeah.
audio a little bit, so be careful of your mic.
Got it. How about now?
There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Let's get a little closer.
I'm deaf enough as it is. You can't be messing with me like that.
So why did you start Armored Combat?
So I actually started combat as a whole on my 16th birthday, fighting with Amp-Guard, the phone style stuff way back in I don't know, the late 90s, whatever that was. Did that for a few years, retired due to school and things like that, and then recently, again, Pinsic 49, got back into Armored Combat. I kind of reconnected with a bunch of old friends that had been foam fighters that were down doing the SCA, and they said, hey, be one of the cool kids coming out with us. And that's how I got started. Just jumped right in with Surf Almor, Axgar, a bunch of the old hillbilly gang that I hang with.
That's so you're part of the foam fighting crews that have come over then.
Yeah. I know most all the old foam fighter guys. We've all done our rounds together.
So Sir Jane, you said you got started when you were very young.
Yes. When I started fighting, I started with the SCA, foam fighting or boffer fighting as they called it back in the day. I'm told we don't call it that anymore. But God, it was so much fun growing up and doing that. Back in the day, we used to have a kingdom-wide kids youth list. I won that twice at 12 and again at 14. And even now as an adult, those are still memories that I cherish and I hold dear. And growing up doing that, just how could you not aspire to want to be a knight when you grow up in a society, you see all these wonderful people, you see them doing their thing, like, yeah. That's just what you do. I grew up in it. It's part of being a legacy. You see all those greats before you, and you're just like, that's what I'm going to do.
And then Shin, you said that you got started. Did you always start with Great Weapon, and then was that kind of what attracted you to it? Or I know you use a Japanese persona, right?
Yep, Japanese persona, bright red. It used to be a bright red samurai kit because that was actually, it was a set of armor that was gifted to me within like my first 6 months. Someone had it sitting in a basement, and they're just like, here. You're doing great things. Take it. You're about the same size as me. And I was like, you can't just give me this. I got to do something for it. And so we have a deal that I still got to make good on. Ask me about it sometime. But the reason I got started in heavy armored combat is actually I used to work with a coworker, and he was a legacy, Circadian Sun, and he and I got talking about swords. He eventually was like, come fight this thing. And I was like, sure. Hooked ever since first practice. And I fought for probably from like 2018, late 2018, up through pandemic into 2023 with a 4.5 foot bastard sword before I experimented and got to the 5 foot and found it was the right balance for me. So yeah.
Yeah. And at what point did you decide, hey, I want to be a knight? I feel like at some point everyone kind of makes that. Most people, there are people out there like, I wasn't trying to be and then ended up being, but I know you were a squire before you were knighted, so, or not a squire, sorry, you were on the path at least known to be. So why did you decide you wanted to be a knight?
For me, I actually never really decided I wanted to be a knight. It was just something like I don't know. It felt like it kind of came naturally. I mean, heavy fighting just transitioned well from what I did previously. Being I was a lacrosse player, prior to getting retired after a couple surgeries by my wife from playing lacrosse, and then she wanted me to come do this. And so with doing this, the fighting was just an extension of that for me, and it just kind of fell into it. I think for me, the only time it really came up as a topic of conversation, I was talking to Duke Miguel at Gulf Wars this year, and he made a good point that if it was something I wanted to do, I should probably do it sooner rather than later for a push, just because, you know, we all get older, and we're only guaranteed what we got right now. You know, injuries happen, life happens, it's going to get in the way at times. And so if I wanted to try to just go ahead and do it, and maybe that flipped a switch and I started doing a little better. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what conversations were being had or anything like that prior to that.
Okay. I think it does it. It's kind of one of those things of some people, they're very intentional about their path and their journey, and they're very organized about it, and they have a certain way they want to do it, and they envision it. And then other people just kind of, you know, do what you did, which is just do the thing you love, and then eventually somebody looks at you, is like, "Hey, you want to be a knight?"
Kind of, yeah. I
um,
think most of it's really, you know, go out there and do what you love, have fun with it, and then find the thing that works for you. And if that's gets you on the right path, then great. I'm sure people have stories about being intentional, like you said, that probably way cooler than my story.
I don't know about that. I think doing what you love is infectious, personally, and it shows very, very easily through your actions, and just in the way that you kind of the everyone around you sees how happy and how much you're enjoying what you're doing. So, Sir Jane, you wanted to be a knight from the very beginning at as a young age.
Yeah, it was one of those things. It's you go out, you do the thing, and you try your best to live the virtues, and at some point, hopefully, they recognize you for that. And it was a lifelong goal for me, and something that it took me a lot of years to get right. Another thing that I had go that I would like to also talk about just briefly while we're talking about this is there were a lot of people that told me that it was wrong to want it, that you should not want it on your journey. I had to explain to a lot of people that it is a legacy. It's what you're told that you should aspire to. Why wouldn't you want to aspire to the greatness that you've seen? Why would you not want to aspire to those things? So when I could never honestly say that I did not want it. And I refuse to feel bad about that, to be perfectly honest. Like, there are people who have told me that that's not the right attitude, but I would say find me a legacy, find me somebody who has put that much time in and worked that hard, grew up in this, truly loves the thing from the time they're a child to an adult, and tell me they don't want it. So.
Yeah, I think the cultural attitude towards that has changed significantly since the time that I started. I got into the SDA 13 years ago, and I was told you can't say you want to be a peer and all this other stuff. And now everyone's like, you should definitely say it. You should voice those things, and you should want it, and it's okay to do that. And I think that is changing. And I think, you know, people like you stepping up and saying, no, this is okay, and this is what I want to do, and there's nothing wrong with it, definitely helps adjust the culture to that. So
Just remember, there's a big difference between saying I want it and I deserve it. And that second statement is something, if you feel like you deserve it, you should probably go take a 6-month or 8-month break and reassess things.
Good point.
That's great advice. Everybody write that down. As soon as you say I deserve it, go take a break. So Shin, kind of at what point were you like, this is it?
Honestly, I wanted to be a knight ever since I was 4 years old.
Well,
But I mean, it's one of those lifelong dreams kind of things. But the SCA is one of the first places where being a knight was something that you like grew into and you embodied, right? and the title was something that was recognized after you've already embodied it. And that, to me, spoke volumes about it. Mind you, I didn't know that you could be a knight. I just initially joined for the fighting, and I was like, this is so much fun. And it wasn't until after COVID when someone sat me down and was like, hey, do you know what, like, these are the things like you can do and these are the things you can aspire to? And I was like, wait, what? There's more? And so I was like, I do want that. I do want to pursue that. And so that's when it truly clicked and started making more moves in that direction.
Yeah, and so Shin, what was your favorite? So we're gonna go to our next question. So what was your favorite part about your journey? And then in that same vein, what was your least favorite part?
My favorite, honestly, was the challenge of learning the Bastard Sword in a polearm / sword and shield heavy kingdom, especially starting out because I was underestimated a lot, honestly. Kid shows up with a 4.5-foot Bastard Sword and is like, I'm gonna have fun with this, and a lot of people are like, that's a hard road, buddy, and I'm like, I don't care, it's fun. And honestly, the catharsis of being told you're the underdog and then still coming out on top in certain areas was also a lot of fun. It's fun to prove people wrong in when it's in pursuit of a good dream.
Yes.
That's an awesome
agree to
answer.
All right, Lycas, you get to follow that up.
I mean, I hate to steal part of what he said because I do think that there is joy in doing something people say you shouldn't be able to do. I think for me the best part, it may sound stupid, but it's really the people you meet along the way doing it. I mean, the traveling around and meeting all the different fighters, learning something new from everybody has been one of the most fun things for me. And then being able to just take those same skills that I'm learning and then work with other people, either teaching them how to beat me or teaching them how to use, the same tools, same skills. So for me, it really has just been the joy of the people going about it. And then when you say as far as the least favorite, I haven't had a least favorite part. I'll be honest with you. I've had a blast the whole time I've been doing, the fighting, the service, all that comes with it. It's just been a riot for me. I'm pretty good about avoiding the drama that comes with the SCA, and so I think I've kind of shielded myself from a lot of that might make it less favorable.
And Jane.
This one's actually kind of easy for me. My favorite part about the journey was the relationships and friendships and the people I have met and those experiences, that camaraderie. I wouldn't trade it for the world. When it comes to the least favorite part of my journey, I'm just going to sum it up like this. My journey was daunting. I would not wish my journey on anyone, but it was still worthwhile and very worth it. And I am glad that the negative parts of my journey did not deter me from the joy and from hanging in there. And knighting is not the end goal. It's when the work begins. So don't think that there's this big line you cross and suddenly everything stops. You hit that line and everything goes into high gear.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we hear from many knights is that I got people. Some people go and they're like, "Oh, knighting is like the end. It's my retirement gift," and then they realize, no, it's actually not. That's when you now get to start the job. Now you have a job, and you were just interviewing for it for all those years, really. And so one of the questions that we had pop up in the comments was if you don't want the job, why would you say yes when offered? So the guests that we have on the show tonight, all of them wanted the job. So I don't know that we necessarily can answer that question definitively tonight. I do know that there are some instances where people are definitely pressured into saying yes, because if you say no, then a lot of times that can backfire on you. And then later on, if you decide you do want to have that accolade, it won't be offered again to you. So there is some pressure, especially from the upper, as a royal, I could say this, there is some pressure from the upper echelons to say yes if offered. So we do try very, very hard to make sure that before we offer somebody, especially publicly, that they actually want it, because nothing's worse than bringing somebody up in front of, you know, two 400 whatever people, and then trying to offer them something publicly and them not want it. That's not something we would want ever. And I think that doesn't happen as much anymore, as opposed to when it did. We're a little bit better at communicating, I would like to think. But Jane, you said that you had something that you wanted to say on the topic.
Yes, actually, it was brought to me that was actually one of the concerns when they were getting ready for me. Having done this so long, knowing all these people so long, it got to a point where I wasn't sure I really wanted it anymore. And it literally took my people sitting down and talking to me, be like, how can you say you don't want it anymore with everything that's gone on, with everything that you have put into this? Furthermore, how can you, and this is for me specifically, I'm trans. It's actually been a huge part of my fighting journey. And trying to decide if I was ready to be that monolith, even though there shouldn't be monoliths in the community, there is. It was a lot of pressure. And I wasn't sure that I wanted my name tied up with it at points. And when my offer came, I did not get the big public offer that a lot of people got. I got a back room. We want to talk to you because we're not sure if you want this, but we think you've earned it 10 times over type talk. So all I can say is all those come up different, and it's a lot. It can be a lot. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure, and I know for you say it was a very private offering at first, and like as I kind of alluded to, I feel like a lot of royals have realized the sensitivity around some of that and have tried to do a better job of making sure that when there is an offer, a question of an offer, that they're kind of meeting the wishes and wants of the candidate. I do know there's been a lot of movement towards kind of that, and so I think at least they offered it to you privately and discussed it instead of in front of a bunch of people.
Part of the other reason that came about is at the time I was offered, I had recently got out of a knight squire relationship, and I did not have a knight that they could go and ask.
Okay. Yeah, and that becomes that becomes difficult if you don't have a knight or someone who is set as an advocate in the circle that kind of is your go-between. That can be really, really difficult, especially for the crown to be able to like, well, what do I do now? Well, I have to go talk to the actual individual, and that's not always great, but sometimes it's what you have to do. So, but thank you so much for sharing that. I know that was a lot. So our next question is, how much of wanting to be a knight was wanting to help teach and guide the next generation as a teacher for you? That came from our comments, and it's kind of in the area we're at right now. So thoughts?
I'll start it. Sure. The wanting to teach the next generation, I have a background in like a lot of small jobs teaching kids how to swim, and it was always a portion of it. If I'm being honest, it probably wasn't as big a portion up until the latter half of my journey, where it was I was kind of getting ready for like, okay, if I'm, we're made a knight the next day, like what do I need to work on? And I was like, I want to work on being better at teaching, because teaching in this sport is so varied. With the large amount of variety that people have in terms of like skills, background, the way that information goes in and like the body moves out, it's complicated and it's a lot. So I would say it started as a small portion, but grew into a larger one towards the end.
I'll take it next, I guess. For me, I guess I thought about it kind of in reverse a little bit. I mean, I'm always trying to learn, but at the same time, I always think it's important to teach, even if you're not trying to be a knight, because we've all got different skill sets, right? And we all want to learn to be the better version of what, or the best version of what we can be. And so for me, the teaching just came as part of the progression as I'm fighting. Like I said, coming up, recently in a lacrosse background, our motto with lacrosse was always grow the sport, which to me the SCA needs as well, right? You always need those younger fighters. You need to bring them in, and part of bringing them in is spending that time teaching them so that they want to stick around. Because if you just come out as a newbie and you're just getting the crap clubbed out of you by dukes and knights and all these other people, and you're not learning anything from it, then why are you going to stick around? So I think that teaching should come before being a knight. I don't think it necessarily is just after.
Any thoughts, Jane?
Teaching was part of my path. And a lot of that had to do with when I was younger. When I turned 18, I moved up to a small town in the middle of the Sierras. And there wasn't a knight there. In fact, I came to realize that with 2 years under my belt at that point, I was the most experienced fighter in the area. And we had a bunch of young that wanted to come out and fight between the ages of 16 and 18. So I had to teach. If I wanted someone to fight with, I had to teach these guys how to maintain armor, how to fight, how to do the thing. And if I wanted to get better, I had to do it good, because iron sharpens iron, and beating on a pal, especially if it's a person, that's not beneficial to learning. It's not beneficial to them. It's not beneficial to you. So that lack of proximity to my central kingdom almost forced me to become a teacher almost before I was legally an adult. So it's always been part of my journey, just helping out new fighters, teaching people who ask.
Yeah, I think pretty much the vast majority of people I know, at least within a year, 2 years before they're knighted, definitely you see the shift while they're an unbelt, going from I'm primarily a student and that's all I do is learn, to now I'm more of a teacher and I spend more and more time teaching. And I think it's interesting to watch that shift. And I think teaching is very important, because how else are we going to have a new generation of fighters if you're not sharing the knowledge? And sometimes that means you're the unbelt, yes, and you're not a knight yet, but you're at a practice and you're the best skilled person and knowledgeable person there. So guess what? You're the teacher. And learning to be a teacher is a skill. We've talked about in the Coach's Corner a lot. Learning to be a teacher and learning to be a coach is a completely different skill than becoming a good fighter. And it's something that you have to learn and develop over time. So it doesn't just magically show up when you become a knight or a duke or a count or whatever else, right? It's not just a magical thing you get blessed with immediately upon that happening. It doesn't come with it. Sorry. So one of the things that we've talked about briefly in a couple of the shows, but never really nailed down, and I think it's because a lot of the times when we're talking to people on Coach's Corner, they're very experienced. They've been a knight for a long time or a royal peer for a long time, and so some of with time takes away some of the experience that you had, the realistic what you went through. But one of the things that we know happens is that there's a massive amount of sacrifice that happens in the pursuit of becoming a knight or becoming a very skilled fighter. And I know some of you have made some pretty big sacrifices during the way. So would you mind sharing, like, what are some of the sacrifices that you've had to make?
Sure. I'll start. Mine's probably the easiest. It's really just it was a money thing, right? It was a lot of traveling for me. I can't say there was a whole lot else. I mean, for me, it was, I think I had a faster journey than most people. So I don't have the grind quite as hard as, like Sir Jane had, things like that. So, I mean, I guess my answer is pretty succinct. It was a cost thing to travel around and get to experience more of the world and more of the fighters and learn the different styles. And see bigger and better things, right? Because I live in a very small town that's 100 miles from the nearest practice. So it's, if I want to get out and fight, I've got to go spend the time and money to go do it.
Yeah, time and money is definitely, I think, a common theme. And I don't know that people understand the exact level of time and money that you end up spending. I know we've had a couple of people post, what it took to be a royal, but not necessarily what it took to get to their journey of knighthood. But everyone I've talked to, and I ask them like, "Hey, what was the biggest thing that you had to do?" They'll tell me how many miles they put on their car or how much money they spent. That's a common theme. Shin, is there anything that you really feel like you had to sacrifice in order to, continue your path or make that final push?
Man, for me, it was mostly social, like friends outside the SCA, family outside the SCA, prioritizing events instead of like going to the hometown and visiting with family and friends. Money, similar to Lycas, money in my vehicle in terms of, I think I went through 3 vehicles over the course of 6 years. Yeah, it was rough, nuts. But aside from that, I had the fortunate of being 20 minutes from from like a really central practice, having a decent amount of people to go to practice. Indoor practice, so it's also year round, and having just a really good community of people to help me repair armor and like help me, guide me in getting the things that I needed to keep fighting twice a week for 6-ish years.
Yeah, the social loss. So the amount of time you have to put in, even on my I have to work a lot harder than a lot of my peers at my level of fighting that I am, simply because of my small size. It requires almost double the amount of work, and so I often find that like I haven't talked to my friends in a week or two, or I'll go and look at my social media posts and they're all workout or some sort of fighting thing, and I'm like, oh god, I need to add something else into here. This is looking a bit obsessive.
Wait, you people have a life outside of the SCA? Friends? What is this friends and family thing you're talking about?
It's difficult.
It's hard, right? And Jane, I know that you had a very long journey and definitely had a lot of, your list of sacrifices is probably very long in comparison to the others. Do you want to summarize or have any that you would like to share that are particular?
I do. I'm hoping that folks will understand this, but for me, it was my voice. On my journey, I felt for the last part of it, I lost my voice. I had been a very big advocate for the trans community, and I had been rather outspoken about my community, about attacks against my community, things like that. And I basically had to stop for a couple of years, stop my social media dead and do a reset. And it was hard. I did eventually get my voice back, and now I feel that I am more effective at using my voice and quite possibly a better person for it. But at the same time, it was very, very difficult, feeling like I could not openly stand up for my community. It felt like I was putting myself in compromising positions when I would see things that I felt very much need to be called out, but at the same time, there was no polite or courteous way to call out these things. And as a result, I lost my voice for a while, trying to figure out how to properly address these issues without making them worse, without upsetting a bunch of people, and making sure that ultimately my message wasn't lost in the end. It was quite possibly the hardest part on my journey.
I will say, as a person who has not experienced your journey in any way, shape, or form, but definitely I have a problem keeping my opinions to myself. It's definitely a struggle trying to figure out how do I express myself and keep my voice and make myself heard without offending the other person or without being dismissed, or how do I speak this way? And I think that's something that at some point most of us have to figure out and learn, because that's kind of what you're doing as a knight, right? Is you have to be able to speak to every type of person. You have to be the calm voice. You have to be the person who's stepping in and resolving situations and being a leader. And that's really what it takes. And so I agree with you. Taking the step back and losing your voice is very painful, and it's hard, and it's difficult figuring out how to get it back. And so I commend you on figuring that out. I'm still working on it. Clearly.
It's a lot of work, and I will say I thought it was going to be like a light switch. I've made it across the line. Now I get to speak my mind. I can't give it back. But honestly, those years of doing that temperance stuck. I didn't immediately just jump back online and be like, let's blow you up for that comment. Let's blow you up for that bigoted comment. It was not. There was some really big self-discovery and journey there through that was very, very worthwhile.
Yeah, self-discovery journey. I feel like we could just rename being on the path of knighthood to that. For sure, right?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, self-discovery, self-awareness, all of those things rolled into one. So the next set of kind of questions is all kind of revolves around the experience of how do I pick a knight? How do I what kind of relationship do I want with a knight? How do I start this journey formally? And so I know Jane had a formal journey partially. Lycas did as well, right?
Kinda. Mine was a different one a little bit. Nothing bad. No, nothing
Okay.
bad. Don't give me weird face. No, it was nothing bad.
And then Sir Shin, and I super apologize for my Texas accent, just butchering your name.
It's all good. People get it wrong all the time.
You had a little bit of a different journey as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so some of these questions might not be as applicable to you. But we'll go through them just because I feel like some of these are really important to a lot of people that may end up watching this. And so the first one that we're going to talk about is, if you weren't looking for a knight, what kind of mentorship relationship do you think you wanted, or what kind of knight relationship do you think you wanted? Like what were you really looking for to help you?
Sure, I'll jump on the grenade. I wasn't looking for anything in particular. Honestly, I was just enjoying the game. I fell into mine. The only reason I really took a knight, I made a rule for myself that there was only one belted family I was going to be in, and that was because of the previous friendships within the phone fighting. Sir Leaf, who passed away a handful of years ago, was a friend of mine, and I didn't want to get into a belted family that wasn't part of his, just to kind of honor that line. And so that's where I stuck with. I had a few offers from some amazing knights and dukes that would have been great knights as well, but I stuck to my guns and ended up in Duke Bela's line, which he was Leaf's squire, or Leaf's knight back in the day.
Yeah. And I miss our friend.
Yeah.
Sorry. You said his name and I was like, it's about that time of the year too.
Shit, sorry.
It's okay. It's quite all right. So Shin, I think I did it right this time. Did I?
Yeah, you did great.
Gold star.
So for viewers at home, I didn't squire for my entire journey, but I was looking for a knight. I just wasn't looking for one right away, and by the time I was looking for one, I had kind of passed the point where I wanted it to be meaningful, and yeah. So the things I was looking for in a knight was, were they close to my practice? could they help me fill the gaps to be a more holistic knight, right? Like, did they have the skills and such to help fill in where I was missing? And then obviously, did we get along? Was a huge thing. Did we mesh as people and ideologies, essentially? So, yeah.
It's fairly standard.
Yeah.
I would think. I mean, seems reasonable. And then Jane, I know that that you had a knight and then did not have a knight. But
Well,
when you were
so I took my first night at 16. I was up in not the smallest area of the kingdom, but it was a smaller area of the kingdom. There were 3 local knights. And my offer came about because there was someone outside the area who really would not have been a good fit for me, who very much wanted me to squire to them. And my first night and I jived really well, and he saved me from having to jump on the bullet of saying no to that person. And I am eternally grateful to him for that. I stayed squired to him for 20 years. I was his only squire. And for that 20 years, it was me and him versus the world. Like, there was no one I'd want to be with. But after 20 years, we had just become 2 very, very different people. Myself, a completely new name and face. So it, and then there were other things going on in mundane life that was making it hard for him to attend events. So we decided that it would be best to hand back the belt. And there was another knight in my area who was very pro LGBTQ. And he very much wanted to work with me, and I wanted to work with him. So he started out as a foster almost, while my other knight was kind of transitioning back and forth, trying to figure out could he really step up and do everything with what was going on in his life. And had me foster to my second night. And then that relationship, unfortunately, like a Night Squire relationship is a lot like any relationship, friendship, romantic or otherwise. Sometimes you get along great for years, and then just one day you hit an irreconcilable difference, and you just can't move past it. And unfortunately, that happened with my second night, and it was very, very difficult. I ended up handing back the belt, and less than 6 months later, I was being knighted myself. Sometimes those difficult situations really give you the opportunity to shine and show what you're made of. Because bad stuff's going to happen. What really sets a good peer apart is how they handle that.
That is an excellent quote for this show. Write that down, guys. Seriously, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing, Jane. And yeah, absolutely right. I've seen more than one individual who was very much being discussed while I was crowned, and was really there, completely mess it up on how they handled a difficult situation. And then they had to come back and prove that they learned their lesson. Okay, this is how I handle it. And that comes down to leadership and representing that the entirety of the SCA, because one of the things you hear a lot of is you're not the knight of your practice. You're not knight of your kingdom. You're the knight of the SCA, and your actions and words will represent you. And it represents all of the knights. And so what we don't want to see is someone who doesn't know how to handle a difficult situation then become, a knight and represent that. And then, now we have another bad example that's being pointed out to. So it totally makes sense.
My response was to make myself a reddish-brown belt, put my kingdom's populous badge all over it, and declare myself a squire to my kingdom. Why pick one knight when I can learn from them all? And as far as I was concerned, and still am concerned, I had very, very good relationships with all of them. I couldn't think of a knight at that time, other than the one I had just stepped out of fealty with, who wouldn't have shown me something, helped me on my journey, whatever I needed if they were able.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I know your kingdom is well known for that. So that's awesome. So moving on to kind of one of the, I've kind of combined some of the questions because we've been answering like 4 different questions all at the same time through answering just this one, which is great. This definitely helps me for my future interviews. So thank you, my friends, for assisting through going through all this the first time. So one of the things that I've seen a lot of is some sort of like pre squire student relationship. So, you know, becoming a person at arms to somebody for a year, or having some sort of, you know, preliminary sort of thing happening informally, or having a contract that you kind of like work on, or whatever. So what do you think is kind of, you know, if you were to give someone the advice of they're thinking about taking this journey, and they're thinking about taking the journey of picking a knight, is there something you would advise them to kind of think about in that regard, like before they pick?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'll start because I don't have much to answer here.
That's okay.
I didn't have any pre-squire student relationship, but I saw it everywhere, and there were tons of people that were willing, similar to Sir Jane the Reborn, tons of people that were willing to jump in and pitch, help me out. And there was a couple people that, when I was considering squiring, I was like, let's, you know, not necessarily a man-at-arms, but like, let me hang out with you more, and like, let's spend some more time together to kind of see how this goes over the next year and a half before anything official. So
yeah, I agree. I think you know, I've seen a lot of the, you know, hey, let's do a year and a day kind of contracts or whatever, and I think those are important. And I think, you know, Sir Jane hit the nail on the head that you've got to have that really good relationship on and off the game with this person, because it's going to become somebody who's basically family, right? If it's a good relationship, they should be family at that point. And so there's a lot of, and Sir Sheen hit it too, with, you know, people within proximity and things like that. But I think it's a job interview process almost, right? And I think I've seen some people jump into them when it maybe wasn't the best fit, but you see the ones that are a good fit, and you see the difference, right? So I think it's an important part to have that time, not to just jump in blindly with somebody because they offered you a belt. You know, it may come from a great place, a great place in their heart, or maybe they see something in you. But just like any real relationship, it may not be a perfect fit, but you can still learn from them, even if you're not, you know, belted to them in some way.
So, for my thing, what I would recommend to anybody looking to get into a knight-squire relationship, especially if you are on the squire side, find a knight who understands you, who understands your struggles. Because ultimately what that knight is going to do is they're not going to be in there as much singing your praises, though, you know, a lot of them do. They are there to explain things to people, primarily. They're your advocate. When someone goes, hey, why did they do this thing? They're the one that goes like, hey, I was actually there. You need to understand that A, B, and C were also going on at the same time. And because of this, you know, A, B, and C, honestly, they were handling that very well when it was a really god-awful situation. You need someone who can do that for you. And that's not necessarily somebody who swings a stick super great. If you are going to have one of those knights that is very much can advocate for you, make sure they're also a knight who can get you the teaching you need. I mean, I know that I am not the best fighter. I've never won a crown list. To be honest, I've never even been to finals in a crown list. Made quarters and semis once or twice, but my strength for my squire is making sure that I can put her with the people who are going to help her get where she wants to go, and knowing my own limitations. So make sure when you are picking that person that you understand all these things, and that ultimately, like people, we have flaws. Sometimes we make asses of ourselves. It's the thing. We just try. Just do it as we can. And if your relationship doesn't work out, you probably aren't going to be the first one whose knight-squire relationship didn't work out. So that's okay too. You don't need to put a whole lot of pressure on it.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of them kind of fail and not go, and people feel like they are stuck in kind of like this long-term committed relationship that they are just now, it's permanent, it's you're this is it, this is all you get. And I would say that's kind of, it's great topic of, if you do pick a knight and it ends up not working out, it's okay to have that conversation with the person. If it just isn't a thing that's gonna, work for you, it's okay. It's okay to part ways on good terms, hopefully. Talk about it before it becomes bad terms, and then, kind of reassess what you're looking for. Because maybe what you were looking for when you were 16 is not what you're looking for when you're 30, if you're still on the journey, right? Like, it's probably something completely different because you're completely different. We all are after so many years, no matter, what our path looks like.
Hopefully they are.
Yeah, right. I know I am not the same person I was when I was 16. God, that would be terrible.
I'd have more hair.
Yeah,
That's about it.
I had not purple hair, so. So there's definitely another question that was asked in the chat that we behind the scenes were trying to figure out how we were going to ask it and kind of handle it, just because it is kind of a sensitive topic in some kingdoms and to some people. But all of the guests have agreed that they are totally fine with discussing it. So we're going to just jump into one of the difficult questions we got asked tonight. And that is, was a baldric ever an option for you? And a baldric is to be a master instead of a knight. You're still a member of the Order of the Chivalry. And so if it was or wasn't an option for you, why or why not? And I know Lycas, Lycas didn't have, this isn't something for him. So Sir Shin, Sir Jane, can you chime in on the topic at all?
I mean, I just talked on the last one, but I'll jump right in on this one.
No, go for it.
First thing when they made the offer, the very first thing they did was send me an email that had, so which of these options do you want? Which titles do you want? And the option for master was right in there. I guess if I wanted it, I could have just checked all the boxes and said, I want to be a master at arms instead of a knight. And as far as my experience with it, like, the only reason I could see potentially going for Master Arms overnight is there are some people, for very legitimate reasons, who don't feel comfortable being in fealty and swearing oaths. And that's something that each person needs to decide for yourself. And if that is important to you, this is your journey. Make sure that it is your journey, and you only get one of them. So make it what you want. That's my advice.
That makes sense. I agree with you. Sir Shin?
Honestly, similar, Sir Jane. I've had a ICOP document, or in case of peerage document, that after my GOA level award, I had made sure I had filled out for basically, like, in case they knight me, and I had someone who was in charge of it. So, and in it, one of the questions is, do you want the baldric or do you want to be knighted? Initially, when I learned about baldric versus knighting, it was voiced as, if you don't want to swear fealty, right, to the king, right, but instead want to swear fealty to, like, the community, right, more so, was one of the ways that it was pitched. And I thought about it really long and hard, initially wanting the baldric, and then over time I was like, well, I have no issues with the swearing the fealty, but, swearing fealty to the crown it can be symbolic of, like, well, I swear fealty to the crown and what it represents, not necessarily the person sitting in it, because I know some people have issues of swearing fealty to someone that they think is a-hole, for lack of a better term. And they, if they become a knight, they have to swear fealty to that person. And it's like, well, if you phrase it in your head that you are instead swearing fealty to what it represents, then you can kind of respectfully advise the crown on when they are being said a-hole.
Yeah, on the receiving end of that, it definitely came to light that so first of all, just to quick reference, there is definitely some cultural aspects to that question. And different kingdoms handle it different ways. So Sir Shin is from North Shield and Sir Jane is from the West. And then Lycas is from Outlands. And to my knowledge, those three kingdoms, it's not so culturally hotbed topic so much as it is in other kingdoms. So in my kingdom in particular, I'm from Onstiora, and we made two Master at Arms in the entirety of Onstiora. And then we made a third, and the third was made actually during my third reign. And so it's definitely something that is not done in my kingdom. But I think that as with all things, as we learn and grow as a society, we learn and grow, and our culture changes to reflect that growth. And so I think that in many of the kingdoms that we are starting to see an idea of, oh, wait, wanting to be having someone and that be their personal thing that they want to be a master at arms is okay. You don't have to swear fealty to a crown to be an exemplary member of the Order of Chivalry. In fact, if that's the only thing that makes you an exemplary member of the Order of Chivalry, we may need to reevaluate some things, in my opinion. But so thank you for answering that question. I may keep that question actually, depending upon how people feel about it, because it'd be interesting to see kind of the social aspects being different throughout all the different kingdoms and everybody I get to interview and kind of their personal decisions. Maybe I'll get lucky and somebody who's been made a master recently will reach out to me and say they want to be on the show. That would be awesome. Then we could get a pretty good answer for that. Moving on to another question that we got asked from the comments that is kind of interesting and is, depending upon how your take is on it. It's definitely been said, and I've heard it, almost every single person that's been knighted has told me this, is that they did you find that people fought you differently after your elevation than they did before your elevation? And that's a loaded question, I know. And I'll tell you that every single person I have talked to and I've kind of asked that question to privately have all said yes. So if you say no, I would love to hear why. If you feel comfortable answering that.
I can answer real quickly. I'm not
Awesome.
a knight yet.
Well, you let me know in a couple of months, and we'll definitely come back.
In 30 days, I'll let you know after that.
Sir Shin.
Yeah, I'll take this next.
Awesome.
For me, I actually had a couple conversations with some of the unbelts that I was really, really close with. And I was like, hey, when I get knighted, please don't fight me any different, right? Like I literally was just yesterday an unbelt, and today I'm a knight. Like, please don't change how we like interact and perceive each other, as best you can. There are some people who fight me different, but it's not, how do I put it? It's not adversarial. They fight me with a bit more ferocity. They fight me with a bit more seriousness. Because in some ways, from my perspective, they see me as like the new measuring stick. And so it's like, if I can beat the snot out of him, then I'm doing okay in prowess, kind of deal. So
everybody's after you.
A little bit.
Okay. Sir Jane, what was your experience? Because I think you've been knighted the longest out of our crew tonight.
January 4th. So I am coming up here on 11 months now. So I did notice a difference. Wasn't so much on the tourney field or at practice, it was at wars. No one ever used to bother shooting arrows at me before. Now I'm a pincushion. I cannot avoid them. If there's an archer on that field, suddenly it's coming for me. That's what I have noticed since I have been knighted.
So when you get handed your white belt or baldric, it comes with a giant target sign for the combat archers. There's a memo that goes out to all the combat archers that says this person is now enemy number 1.
Yeah, I mean, like, I loved it before when I was a bit unassuming and I could take my 6-foot spear, run behind the line, and no one would actually really pay attention and watch me, and I could go over there and, like, fold that flank. Now, if I try and walk through a line immediately, I've got 6 unbelts all over me.
Oh, my goodness. Thorin says you get a lot more free acupuncture. Oh, man. I'm not looking forward to any of that.
It's, if I may, real quick.
Yes, please.
So my melee career was, I had like Penzik 49 was the only one where I was just getting my feet wet with like a real melee for the first time. And then after that, I was in command up until I got knighted. So I never got to really experience what it was like to be a skilled melee fighter that was unassuming. And I was like, man, this is the new norm forever. Great. So, yeah.
I'm just saying, if you guys have a lack of getting shot by archers, just come fight with the Outlands, because we don't have archers and we just get drilled constantly. So the belt doesn't matter.
Okay, so visit the Outlands if you don't want to get hit by combat archers. Got it.
Fight against the Outlands if you don't want to get shot. Yeah.
Oh, good to know. I'll keep that in mind whenever I get tired of getting hit with baseballs. So our next question is kind of going a little bit a different way from our questions we've had recently. But was there anything during your journey that you feel that you did, or an action you did, or something that made things easier for you? And then were there any that made you that made it things difficult? Like you were like, oh man, that cost me another 6 months to a year. I shouldn't have done that. And as I don't need necessary specifics, but you know what I mean.
I think for me, what made it easier was we just jumped in 2 feet first when we joined the SCA, and so we immediately, my wife and I, started with service, and we do a lot of cooking for the Outlands and other kingdoms and things like that. And so I think that was just kind of a good check mark for having prowess on the field, and then you're also doing all the service. Plus, I've done leatherworking and things like that, and it's all just stuff I donate to people into the kingdom and things like that. And so I think that made it at least easier to be more visible when you're providing those extra layers of service on top. Because you see a lot of guys that just go out there and all they do is stick jock, and then they're done. And yeah, you get noticed for your fighting, but I think that in order to hit some of those other check boxes, if trying to become a knight is what you want to do, that having that visibility in other areas is important. As far as difficulty, I don't think I had anything I did that I'm aware of that was too stupid yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Just wait, there's more.
You have a little bit of time left, right?
I've got 30 days to screw this up royally. Let's see what I can do. Drunken naked bender, here I come.
Oh, goodness. Okay, don't do that. Sir Jane.
All right. So things that made it easier. One of the things that really, really made my journey easier is I had a knight from the Mid-Realm reach out to me with a document that he had written called the Treatise on Chivalry that basically explained the job of an SCA knight. And once I got to sit and see on paper what the job actually entails, it reshaped how I thought about SCA knights on the whole. and arguably made the journey 10 times easier. I didn't feel like I was chasing after these nebulous things anymore. It was just boom, boom, boom. Oh man, they're right. There really is only one thing that you are required to do as a knight, and that is to counsel the crown. So once I got it in my head that everything that a knight does revolves around that sort of counseling and advocacy, it really made everything else just fall into line for me for the rest. It made it very simple to go the boom, boom, boom progression for me.
Anything that
First
you
is that made it more difficult for me. One of the virtues, actually, justice. Felt a need. And we talked about it earlier. The voice that made things more difficult. I made things more difficult on me by making calls like, I'm gonna say this thing. I'm gonna call this person out, and that's gonna add time to my journey. Is it worth it? And because my community is very near and dear to me for a lot of years, it was, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it if it's extra time. This needed to be said. That representation needed to be happy. Guess I'll be a nun belt for another year. So really, that made my journey more difficult, and really a lot of that was on me. So I made my journey more difficult.
that seems to be a common theme that I hear from people when I talk to them. By people, I mean a lot of knights. Like, I'll ask them, like, "Oh, well, how was your journey?" and things like that. Basically, the same question I'm asking all of you are the same questions I ask a lot of people, and that's definitely one I always ask them, because I'm always interested in what they did. Because sometimes the best way you can learn is to know examples of what not to do.
100%.
And a lot of them have stories that are really, really good. So if you ever want to hear something funny, just ask a knight and be like, what was the one dumbass thing you did while you were a squire or on the path that set you back? It's going to be something funny. I promise you. It's going to be something funny.
I mean, I may have in my late or mid 20s, while I was still an alcoholic, had to be kicked off the middle of the air because that's where I'd fallen asleep wrapped up in my dome tent that I hadn't managed to get set up. The reason I don't drink anymore.
Like I said, funny. And a lesson. Don't wrap yourself up in your dome tent and get drunk and fall asleep on the
Set your
list
tent up,
field.
then go to your drinking. That was the lesson. Well, it's a blessing for me. Just don't drink at all. You don't do well when you drink. So that's where I'm at now.
Life lessons. Set up your tent first.
Look, you can drink while you're setting up your tent. You can have the best of both worlds.
Just maybe.
And if you've mastered moderation, you go and do that. That wasn't me at that point in my life.
Temperance.
Sir Shin.
What made things easier for me, honestly, fighting Bastard Sword, because it was the joy, right? I fought this weapon style that was brought me the most joy. So every time I showed up to practice, I wasn't fighting against like, this sucks, I don't like using this weapon. It was very much, I was just like, I'm just having fun, figuring out the intricacies and how this works, and like this is where I have the most joys with this weapon style. Assuming ignorance over malice helped me out a great deal. Being kind to anyone and everyone, and just being curious, seeking understanding, or someone gives you advice and it's like, okay, well, explain it a little bit more, right? Can you go in a little bit more depth as to why, right? And just be curious. The other part was what made my journey really easy. Massive community effort from people supporting me, local people across the kingdom. I had so much support. Learning to accept help was definitely a portion of the journey, and it made my journey way easier. So yeah, difficult. From the advice and such that people have told me, I didn't do anything difficult to make my journey more difficult, aside from fighting Bastard Sword and not squiring. I think the phrase I got used to was like, Bastard Sword is a hard road. That's going to add at least 2 years. I was like, okay, 2 more years of fun.
Yeah, I will say that I've definitely received quite a bit of commentary about fighting Madu, as it kind of in the same vein of, well, no one's going to take you seriously, or it's just a gimmick weapon, or nobody's going to really, it's not, you're not going to be skilled, or you're not going to learn how to be a skilled fighter using that weapon. And to me, I tried fighting sword and shield and doing the normal path that everybody wanted me to do, and it sucked. I wanted to quit. I didn't want to fight. I hated every second of it. Everybody saw like how grumpy I was. It was not fun. And I just said, you know what, fighting Madu is fun. That's my joy, and if that means that this takes longer, so be it. I'm having a good time and I'm having fun, so I don't care. And kind of like you did. Yeah, it's why we're here, right? So if you have a weapon style that you absolutely love, then you should do that, because your joy is going to be infectious, and if you'll be surprised. It's not necessarily going to take you that much longer, because if you really enjoy that style, you're going to work hard, you're going to learn, it's going to show, and that is going to carry on through, you know, how you interact with people, and that's great. That's what we want. We want people to be happy squires, not grumpy, angry squires. So I think people counseling, oh, it's going to add years on, is not necessarily true. I mean, maybe it does a little bit, but if you're having a good time, what does that matter? Who cares?
I think that's just
It's not a race.
It's just slackers that don't want to learn how to fight against your weapon style.
You said it, not me. I can't say that.
Well,
but you know what? You've got 30 days, so
that's right. Prove me wrong. You got 30 days to prove me wrong.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So our next question is, which virtue do you find you struggle with? You kind of struggled with the most during your journey. I feel like every unbuilt I've talked to, they'll say, you know, this one area I'm just really lacking. This is the area where I'm really just having to really focus on, is difficult for me. And normally that area is connected to a virtue. So which virtue do you feel like you struggled with? And then on the flip side, we're then going to ask, you know, what was your strongest one? I think we'll go ahead and combine those two, because we're about 20 minutes out. So which one did you struggle with, and which one do you think is your strongest?
I'll go ahead and start this. Justice on both, for both answers. It was a struggle on my journey, like we were just talking about, to find my voice, to feel like I was still adequately representing my community, calling out the things that were happening. But at the same time, justice without temperance is wrath. You cannot just go and berate people. You have to show them a better way. So while justice, very strong, I've actually had this discussion with other people, and they all say my justice is so strong that it can become a detriment. It's the justice and temperance route, because justice without temperance is wrath.
Yeah. Yep. That's perfect. I love that. Once again, a great quote from our show tonight. Thank you so much for that, Sir Thegn. Lycas.
I'm a slacker. I'll be honest with you. Coming up, the virtues were never even really brought up, so it wasn't something I'd ever even thought of. And then, funny enough, when you guys asked the question or sent them out ahead of time, I looked it up and I was looking, and I didn't have a good answer for you. I'll be honest with you. I laughed a little bit at the chastity one that I saw online, because I was like, well, I'm married, and if I was a chaste person, I'd be in a lot of trouble right now. So that might be the one I've dealt with the hardest in the last few years. And as far as the best or easiest one, for me, I hope it's honor, just because I really try to ensure that no matter what, no one can ever say I didn't take something they hit me with. And I think I show that by wearing minimal armor, and I take shots that even a foam fighter would think were probably too light. But I'm also a sissy, and I don't like to get hit hard, so I'll take it. My job is to block and move, and
I'm there with you on that. It's your turn, Sir Shin.
Yay! I'm looking at the Bushido code. Righteousness, I think, was my biggest weakness, in my opinion. Thinking long and hard about it, understanding situations and making fair assessments, trying to make the best judgment call. Sometimes with all the time in the world, and sometimes with no time at all. It can be daunting. And the strongest one I think I had, I would hope is similar to Lycas, is honor. Again, making sure that I'm taking blows and there's no question in anyone's mind that I'm not sloughing anything. It's a conversation I have with anyone. I was like, if you ever have any doubt of whether or not a blow is good, I will take it because I want no question.
100%, dude.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, that's very much the boat that I'm in as well, just as an unbelt. I'm so concerned with the perception, and I want to be perceived in the way that I mentally have myself. So I think sometimes I kind of do what Lycas does, which is, I'm taking things that definitely even a foam fighter wouldn't take, like Lycas, and so there's pros and cons to both of that, right? So your mileage may vary. So from there, we definitely had another question from the comments, and that was, it comes around as a new knight, and Lycas, this isn't necessarily going to pertain to you. It kind of does, but how long do you think that there needs to be from the time that you become a knight before you pick up a formal relationship with a squire? When do you think is the right time, personally? And then are you looking for a squire? Have you taken on a squire? Do you plan to? Kind of that sort of idea. And I feel like this is a very personal question, but some people like to, they have certain philosophies about it and they apply it to other people. So I know, Jane, you said you did already have a squire, right?
I do have a squire, and I'll just go ahead and kick this thing off then. I adore my squire. So when I was on Vigil, one of the most common pieces of advice I got is if you find that right person to squire, it doesn't matter if it's a year from now or if it's tomorrow. If it's the right person, you do it. And my squire just happened to fall into my lap. She showed up at a practice about 4 months after I'd been knighted. And she came from the human community. She's been trying to get her thing, trying to get her hooks into the SCA for over a decade and just hadn't found that thing. And we hit it off almost immediately, and this girl moved at light speed. So on top of being a baby knight and already being like, I don't know. She's like in her first 2 weeks, I've already taken all the deficiencies from my Hema armor and made it all SCA legal. I'm already working on name submissions. I'm already paid and registered member. Like just moving at light speed. So I agonized for a little bit over, and she kept telling me, I want to be your squire. I want to be your squire. So I agonized for a little bit. And I asked some knights I know, and they went, well, maybe man-at-arms. And I thought about it, and I responded to that person with, you know what? I think I'm going to do it. Because the worst-case scenario, they accept the belt, and they walk away. And I won't be the first knight that's had a squire that's walked away. And that is the right answer. It's just a relationship, like every other relationship. Sometimes they end up. Sometimes you meet that person, you date, and it doesn't go well. But as long as you're ready for that, and you were ready, and you can accept that, it's on you. Do it. I really wanted her to stick around. When she told me the things she wanted, those were the things I wanted out of the SCA, even as a knight. So I went out on the limb. I gave her that belt. I wanted her to stick around. I wanted to have her have a reason to be that this time number 4, was going to be the time she stayed part of the SCA family. So that's why I did it, despite only being knighted 4 months at the time.
So just to clarify, your squire came from, or was involved in Hema previously, so they had other experience and things like it wasn't just a brand new off the street, had no clue what the SCA fighting was. Okay.
Oh no, she yeah, she came with some experience.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
I just wanted to clarify that. Sir Sheen?
So I have a bit of an odd pickle. So I had a man-at-arms, essentially, for probably the year leading up to my knighting. He was someone I had helped out a number of years ago, and that moment stuck to him. And we talked, hung out. He was local practice, and he was like, I want to learn from you. And I was like, I warned him. I was like, this is something that's a little unconventional because I'm not a knight. I'm, if you really want to learn from me, I'm open to like trying it out and like doing the man-at-arms thing. It's good practice for me being a teacher and like getting my feet wet a little bit with that kind of relationship. And the advice I got, which I'm sticking to, is I'm not going to squire him until I've been a knight for at least a year. Because the man-at-arms relationship we had was pre-existing. It's good. It's not going to go away, within the year. And, come that year in a day, it gives me a chance to fully understand my position as a knight and like my duties and like how I feel comfortable in how people interact with me now, right? So like I go to events, I see what the new dynamic is, without having a dependent to worry about as much or as heavily. So it gives me a chance to find my footing so I can better help a squire.
So I will say that while that may be unconventional in North Shield, it's not unconventional in a lot of other places. We have people who, like, especially if you're a grant holder, that you can take a person at arms. There's no restriction in society rules that you can't have a person at arms and so forth, even if you aren't a knight or squire or whatever. And then there's always, depending upon where you live, there's also advocacy in the lower levels. Like I know Callantyre has even AOA polling order. And so you need some sort of advocacy or people that are kind of standing behind you even at that level. So I think taking somebody and teaching them, maybe not formally, maybe informally, is really good experience, like you said, and there's nothing wrong with getting that experience. And so, Lycas, did you want to chime in on this at all?
Sure, I can swing at this one. So looking for squires? No, not yet. As far as I kind of agree with Sir Sheen. I mean, I think, for me, my minimum would be to wait a year, just because, as everyone's said, and it's well known that it's a job, right? And I think it's important to learn the job before I try to expand on what I'm doing with the job of being a knight. As far as the kind of people, I mean, I think we hit that earlier too. I mean, you've got to have that relationship with somebody, whatever that relationship is for those two people, and make sure that you mesh well before you dive too deep into it. It's Sir Jane. I differ a little. I mean, you say it's just a relationship; it can come and go, and I understand that. For me, it's a bit deeper. For me, it's more, like I said, it's a family thing at that point. If I'm going to take somebody under me like that, and I have to make sure that they're going to mesh well in all aspects, or as many as possible, before we can have a relationship like that. But I think that at some point, yeah, I'd love to have some little baby squires. It'd be awesome.
Well, thank you for that. So the next question, we're wrapping up kind of our questions. We have only 2 questions left. And I'm going to take a quick second that if you have tuned into this and you've watched this and you would like to come on the show, you've been knighted or offered to be knighted within the past year, please let me know. Send me a quick PM. You can find me on our Discord, Facebook, or just at an event. I go to a lot of events, especially wars. Just find me, and I'm more than willing to kind of slot you in and have you on the show. Would love that. So that's my quick plug for my series. So the next question is, what was the one thing you were really surprised by after you were knighted? And Lycas, sorry, you're exempt from this question. You
I
can tell
quit.
me.
I quit so hard on this. I'm done. Keep getting excluded.
You know what, you could come back and comment on this video on YouTube and let us know what your answer is later on. How about that?
Okay. I'm going to go in the
Okay.
public comments and say how rude everybody was, excluding me on these questions.
Sir Sheen, if you want to kick us off.
Sure, absolutely. For me, the one thing that really surprised me after I was knighted was the mental shift when fighting unbelts. It's one of those things I didn't really like consciously think about, but thinking back on it, it makes total logical sense. When fighting an unbelt, right, I'm looking at what are they working on, how can I add to it, insight, value, whatever. And if not, do I know someone that can help them on their journey? Fighting unbelts becomes less about, oh, I'm fighting someone I want to win. It's more, I'm fighting someone. Okay, are they on the path? Do they want it? Where can I help?
No, I think that's that's a very, I haven't heard that one before, so thank you.
Yeah.
Sir Jane?
All right. So mine was something that you hear, but it was almost like the opposite. So you often get told, especially people who have recently been offered, that once you get to the other side and you're in those meetings, you're going to see people in a very, very different light. I had always thought that they were talking about candidates, my people, the other unbelts around me, other people I had known not in the circle. What I found after I got in there and I got to attend those meetings is it actually changed how I saw the other knights, and almost unilaterally positive. I thought that I need to still myself. I might see some behavior here that, like, I don't know if I'm necessarily like ready for out of people that I really like. And I got in there, and instead what I saw was exemplary behavior out of people who I hadn't paid two seconds worth of time and attention to for whatever various reasons. And it was really enlightening and really, really good. Like, I am very glad that I got to see a different side to some of these people that frankly makes me love and respect them 10 times more.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you don't know how those, unless you sit in those circles, you don't really know how you have some sort of idea. You have like what is perception in your mind and things like that, or various stories that people talk about something that's very, whatever. But I think until you sit there, you don't really understand and know people, because that's a place where they can kind of feel like they can express themselves a little freer than maybe out in public on various topics, actually. So last question, and this is a big one. What advice, what is the piece of advice, if you could give one piece of advice, what would you give to someone who is considering the path? And Lycas, you get to go first since we skipped you last.
Oh, I get to answer a question finally? This is so cool. I'm a cool kid. I think for me, it's a lot of it. I mean, it may not just be one simple piece, but I mean, part of it's, you have to be kind of social. I mean, whether you are or not, right? Like, I'm not normally a social person, but when you get out in those, out in your fighting and you want to go down that path, you need to become social in some aspect, at least enough to be able to talk to people and come across as a good human being. And you also have to be open to criticism, critique, and learning. And I think that's hard for a lot of us because we want to think I'm king shit at Turd Mountain, and we're not. That's why we're not a knight yet. That's why we're not the greatest fighter that's out there, is we all have something to learn. And, you're going to get a lot of advice from a lot of people, and you're going to have to learn how to sift through it. Good, bad, and different. But I think you have to be open to it no matter what. And I think you have to be able to put a positive spin on it no matter how it's coming at you.
Thank you.
So I guess I'll jump in here. So the piece of advice that I would like to give everybody who's on the path to journey is just remember, even when you're there, you don't have to be perfect. There is no such thing as the perfect knight. What what being a peer really shows is that, like I mentioned earlier, that they have seen in you a growth that shows that if you do have that bad situation, if you do need to make an apology, that you are capable and willing to do such things, that you really do want to do the right thing, and you can clean up any messes you might happen to make. Because ultimately, in the end of the day, no one gets paid to fight, which means there are no professional SCA fighters. We are all just a bunch of amateurs doing the best we can.
I wish I got paid.
Wait, you guys aren't getting paid? Oh, well, I mean, oops.
Sir Shin.
I would give the advice of Journey Before Destination.
Brandon
enjoy-
Sanderson.
Yes. Enjoy the pursuit. You only get to do that pursuit once. You can be a knight the rest of your career, but you're only an unbelt once. That's it. Succinct.
No, that actually sums up. That's a very, you know what? There's a reason why that quote is so famous, and I think a lot of people in the SCA have used that quote and really have really identified with a lot of the things in that series. Actually, for those of you who are wondering, it's Brandon Sanderson series. It's quite wonderful. I am an avid reader and I love it. It is massive series. Kind of like the Wheel of Time, but it's worth the read. So I just want to, Lycas, no, it's not.
No, Wheel of Time is just people walking.
I meant the Brandon Sanderson books. Although I love Wheel of Time as well. I've read the entire thing twice, so I didn't get a medal for that. I probably should have. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for all three of you joining us here tonight, sharing your experience, and thank you to everybody in the comments who popped in and asked questions or shared their experience. We love seeing that. We love having audience participation. I'm really excited about this series, and this is my third plug for it. That if you would like to come on this series, the qualification is very simple: is have to be offered a writ or be knighted within the last 365 days. I'd love to have you on and share your experience. So, without further ado, Branos is going to come on here and tell us what's on next week.
So. Next week, good. Usually we've been trying to keep these every week, but the way things lined up next week, we have Sean and let's see, let me double check, make sure I got the right people. Yep. We got Sean, Helga, and Thorfinn back on for video analysis again. These have been great series. We've seen a lot of great stuff come out of these, and if you really want to understand how to break down video, this is a great time. You can ask them in the middle of a video. I know, even though they're talking with those people that they're trying to help, they love talking about breaking down video. So join them. It's a lot of great stuff to learn there. I still jump on, especially in how they present to the individuals that talk, that conversation. Sometimes that conversation is hard to have because tearing somebody down a bit, there's a lot of delicate spaces you have to act in there, and they do a really, really good job of helping you understand how to help somebody without really making them feel torn down. So we look forward to seeing you on the show, and then future shows as well. Please, again, we have just put up a little whatever what are those called, QR code on top of the screen. I got to move that around at some point and figure a better place for it. Let's see. I'll put it over. Nope, didn't work. Anyways, we'll figure it out. But QR code for our Facebook page. I'll get one actually for the Discord as well. If you haven't been out to the Discord, it's been super fun to watch conversations and how many people are posting videos and asking for help. The conversations there are a little different than what we see in our Facebook page. Both have their benefits, but it is definitely easier to post a video inside the Discord and have people come out and take a look. So we're trying to make sure that we cross post major things across both pages. So if you have anything, please join us any of those places. We look forward to just hanging out, talking, and doing more stuff and helping the community be better teachers, coaches, and overall fighters as well. So we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend and stay safe out there.